Alright everybody, welcome back. This is HD and it's time for another HD broadcast, and today we're going to be looking at a team broadcast. This is not 2v2 or 3v3, not teams like that, but it is going to be Root versus Evil Geniuses. So it is Root Gaming versus Evil Geniuses. Obviously, EG fielding such players as Hydra, Axlav, Strife Crow, and then Root fielding such players as Cats and Kiwikaki, and it is going to be a 1v1, but every time a player gets knocked out, the other team will send up their next player. So it is going to be, I believe, the first team to win 4 games out of, I guess the total maximum would be 7. So 4, the most games you can play is 7, because then that would be 3 versus 4, or 3 to 4, and the winner would have 4 games over 3. So I believe that's the format. This is going to be in the SGL, and it is going to be starting off Root Cats versus EG Strife Crow, and it is going to be on Metalopolis. So both these players, very, very good. It is going to be a Zerg versus Zerg to start things off. A good old mirror matchup. One of the most intense mirrors, in my opinion, because it's just so difficult to micro around your little tiny Zerglings. And I do have to change my scroll speed because this thing is just ridiculously fast right now, and I'm getting a little dizzy from it. So lowering that a little bit, that's a little better. And so Zerg versus Zerg, obviously one of the more interesting mirror matchups because it's so much a game of rock, paper, scissors. And I've said this in many of my broadcasts before. Any player that goes for the early hatchery is super vulnerable to an early pool, early aggression. But any player that doesn't go for an early hatchery is very vulnerable to the mid to late game when the other Zerg will have more economy. So it's kind of like going for hatch first is the rock, going for the early pool, like early gas, early pool is like the paper that owns the rock, and then scissor, I guess, is anything in between. So it's a very dynamic matchup for obvious reasons. And starting things off, we can already see that Strife Crow, excuse me, there has gone for an early hatchery. So he's got hatchery, he's gone pool, hatch first before pool, and this map, it can be a little difficult holding off against a massive Zergling attack or massive Roach attack because this natural expansion, like I said before, very wide open to attacks. So Strife Crow here is going to be a little bit in trouble in the beginning stage of this game until he can get some spine crawlers out, until he can get some roaches and zerglings out to defend his natural expansion. And we can see Root Cats here has gone for early gas. He's got his speed on the way, and I do believe we're going to be seeing some early aggression from Root Cats right now, because obviously if Cats tries to go for a hatchery right now to catch up, he's just going to be too far behind. So in order to even out, to balance out this game, he has to go for early zerglings and he has to do some kind of damage. So we can see now 2 Zerglings on the way. Cats, it looks like he will be throwing down a hatchery after all, so that's a little interesting. I guess it's not going to be all in. It's not going to be, you know, try to bust the doors down, try to go mass Zergling. He's going to try to do a little bit of aggression and then fall back on his expansion. And Strife Crow here, so smart. He sees the hatchery going down, so he knows there's only going to be a limited number of Zerglings coming out. He's already got 6 Zerglings of his own out on the map, and just like that, Strife Crow takes a huge advantage to start off this game with that hatchery going down first, with the larger economy, and now it seems like he's even got the larger army. So he's got 6 Zerglings on the map, chasing back Cats' 2 Zerglings. Cats is going to have to make something happen here. He's going to have to get a couple more Zerglings out to defend against this. Otherwise, he could possibly lose his hatchery. Strife Crow now starting to come in inside the main of Cats. Cats coming out with 6 more Zerglings, and there we go. Speed kicking in, and that is going to be the changing factor here when these Zerglings collide, is the Zerglings with speed obviously going to be able to surround much better than the Zerglings that do not have it. And Cats taking early map control with that attack is going to force Strife Crow to fall back. Now Strife Crow very scared, has to throw up a bunch of queens at his ramp just so the Zerglings cannot run inside his main. It looks like now he's put his queens back to work though, and that is going to leave his main wide open. But I think Strife Crow thinks that he's got enough queens to defend against this. He will lose a couple of drones, more Zerglings coming in, and Cats here are going to start to do some work. Excuse me right there, my phone just went off with a text message, so it looks like Cats, yeah, he's gonna have to fall back, but he kills off about 3 or 4 drones, and he's gonna get a good scout off inside Strife Crow's base. So very nice job right there. And for all you guys who are wondering, what the hell was that sound? That was my text alert. It is actually the same sound that you get when you play Metal Gear Solid and a guard sees you, so it's kind of a little interesting footnote right there. But I think right now Cats is at a very large advantage. He's got 27 drones over 21, so he's just living the high life right now. He's a big baller. He's got Lyra on the way, and now Strife Crow is the one who's behind. And as you guys can see, this matchup is just so tipsy-topsy. Starting off this game, Strife Crow had a great advantage. He went for this hatchery, he had more drones, he had a larger army, but all thanks to speed, all thanks to those early Zerglings from Cats, he was able to do a lot of damage and basically tip the tables in favor of the Orange Zerg, in favor of Root Gaming. And remember, this is a team game. This is Root versus EG. And obviously momentum plays a huge role in these types of games. So if Root can win this first game, Cats will stay in to play the next player that EG throws up. Right now, Strife Crow has to make something happen, and Cats realizing that now he has to play defensive. He's got Roaches and Queens to back up his ramp, and very easily can slip his drones from his natural to his main with the use of the mineral waypointing. So nice control right there from Cats. This is something that Strife Crow didn't do when he was attacked, and he could have actually saved a ton of his drones by doing that. But it looks like right now Strife Crow is just trying to catch up in economy. He's using his Zerglings to keep Cats inside the base, all the while he's pumping up a ton of drones. So you guys can see right now he's actually completely out-macroed Cats right now just from map control. He's map controlling with his Zerglings, using these Zerglings to keep Cats inside the base, and all the while he has now taken the advantage in drones. He's got 44 over 34, and just like that, Strife Crow now in the lead. Wow, great control. But now as a result, Cats has a very large Roach army, and so what Cats should actually do is make an attack right now. Even if the Zerglings from Strife Crow threaten to run into the main, I would honestly favor a trade right now, a base race, because Cats just has so many Roaches. He doesn't quite have as many drones. Scratch that. He's actually just rebuilt a ton of his drones to catch up. So both these players, very even. My other ringtone is now going off, and that's the codec that Solid Snake gets when somebody, when obviously Otacon calls him or something like that. So too many people messaging me today, too many people calling me. It's all about Starcraft right now, so it looks like we have a third base coming up for Strife Crow. Wisely throwing up that third expansion to get more drones, get more saturation. He's right now very scared though. He's got a ton of Roaches on his ramp just to play defensively in case anything tries to run by. But Strife Crow should realize that Cats right now primarily has a large Roach army, so he shouldn't be scared about any kind of a run-in. He should actually start to mobilize his forces. He's going to need to defend against this very large Roach army and impending Roach attack. He needs to keep this third expansion alive for obvious reasons. Strife Crow now mobilizing his Roaches and his Lings. Cats just taking a pot shot at the hatchery, and then he decides, you know what? I'll save my Roaches for another day. I'm going to fall back and just keep playing the macro game. And for some reason, the spectators in this game are just pinging all around the map. I don't know what is so interesting about these towers. But obviously, they find something that's kind of shiny and cool about that. Cats right now is looking like he's going to be focusing more on upgrades. He's getting missile attacks. He's starting to kind of just focus on getting weapons and carapace for his forces. But you guys can see that Strife Crow already is one step ahead of that. He's already got +2 on the way. So his +1 is already done. And he's actually working on getting Burrow right now. I do like that. Burrow combined with early Roaches is very powerful, because unless the other Zerg player has an Overseer, your Roaches can regenerate very quickly. We can see now both players may actually be coming in for an attack. Strife Crow is just moving his forces, though. He did not A-move his army. And that right there could be a very costly mistake. He lost about 1 Roach, and another one of his Roaches and a couple more took some heavy damage. So Cats here is looking like he's going to push his advantage. This game has just been going back and forth, seesaw action. And Strife Crow now, he needs to get some forces over here to his third, because that's a very large Roach army that's coming into his creep. Unless Strife Crow can hold this off, he may lose this game. Cats, though, is just now finishing his +1 weapons upgrade. So both armies are at the same amount of upgrades. Cats has 1, and Strife Crow has one. Neither player has Burrow complete. Excuse me there, Strife Crow just finishing his Burrow upgrade. So Strife Crow now has Burrow complete, and that may be what he needs. That may be enough to save his hatchery, but he's gonna have to use his Burrow very wisely. His hatchery now under fire from just about 6 roaches, and the 6 roaches actually now pulling off their target, gonna go after the burrowed roaches instead. Cats right here has no overseers whatsoever to spot the burrowing and unburrowing of roaches, and Strife Crow as a result has been healing his roaches all day long, but Cats takes up one last shot at the hatchery, and with a spurt of blood the hatchery falls. So Cats doing a great job right there, even though he doesn't have Burrow. He was able to snipe off the hatchery with superior roach numbers, and now he's bringing in an overseer, as is Strife Crow. But I don't think it matters because now Cats, of course, has a 3rd expansion up. Even though he doesn't have any saturation there, Cats is just really, really far ahead. Strife Crow is now in desperation mode as he's going to have to figure out something to deal with this roach army, and then he has to pick off the 3rd hatchery that Cats is now up and running. So it's a very, very intense moment right now for Strife Crow. Strife Crow is basically on the edge of defeat. He's gonna need more forces. He can't even really use Burrow because Cats is an overseer just perched overhead, so that completely negates the Burrow, and once again the hatchery gets sniped off by Cats. Brilliant control and brilliant micro. And I think right now Cats is going to win this game, even if he loses his entire army. It doesn't really matter because you gotta remember, Strife Crow is at 2 bases and Cats is at 3. And you guys can see the overpowering of roaches is starting to happen. There's just too much orange, not enough yellow. Remember, orange is Cats and yellow is Strife Crow. I was getting a little confused in this game as to what player was who because the colors are so similar. But Strife Crow is gonna GG out. Cats wins the first game. There you guys can see a ton of the spectators. Drewby, Kiwikaki, Destiny, another up-and-coming very good player for Root, Idra, and Colby even in this game. Obviously, all these players possibly could come up next to face off against Cats. Cats winning the first game, taking momentum for Root Gaming, and Evil Genius is going to have to throw up the next player to see who can take out Cats. Very nice ZVZ right there, extremely action-packed, and we're going to move on to game number 2. HD signing out.